Hello students and welcome to chapter number 2. In this chapter we will discuss how employee behaviors at work are influenced. And when we learn more about how can we influence the behavior of employees, we will learn better how exactly to design, develop, and monitor human resource development activities. So we have learned from chapter number 1 that HRD, Human Resource Development, has a number of goals. And of course, the ultimate goal, the ultimate objective of all HRD programs is to improve the performance of the organization overall. But you cannot improve the performance of the organization without improving the performance of its individuals. And how can you improve the performance of individuals without influencing their behaviors? So if you have a group of employees who come to work late, so you send them to a training course in order to help them manage their time better and come to work on time. So that is a behavior that you are trying to influence, that you are trying to change. If you have a group of employees who are not really motivated, and therefore are not working really well. They're not excited about their job and they're not delivering quality. So what you do is that you send them for a training, you design an HRD program to help them change that behavior. So that is what HRD is all about, influencing performance, influencing behaviors in order in the end to basically help the organization as overall achieve its goals. So here's a model of employee behavior. This basically functions as a map that will help you navigate through our chapter. We will not discuss each and every little bit of it, but it helps you understand exactly how things fall into place when it comes to discussing behavior. So now we shift gears a little to talk about the categories of employee behavior. So we discuss the multi-dimensional aspect of employee behavior, meaning behavior is not something that is simple to address. You have to understand that there are multiple factors which interplay when it comes to understanding the performance of employees. Multiple things interact with each other, and together they develop and influence the behavior of employees at work. So most human resource development activities focus on task performance. So how exactly do you do your job? So take or pick any specific aspect of anyone's job. Someone who works as a marketing specialist. So we focus here on exactly what type of activities does that marketing specialist do, and we want to improve it. So this is the purpose of human resource development. And then we focus on other things like organizational citizenship behavior, something that you will discuss in detail in a future course. But when we talk about employees' behavior, it's not only about task performance. We talk about things like loyalty. We talk about things like commitment, because without these aspects, without these things, you cannot have an employee who is working well. You cannot have an employee who is willing to do or go the extra mile for your organization or for your department. So you have to understand that this is what we mean when we say multidimensional. So أبعاد مختلفة في أمور مختلفة تتفاعل مع بعضها in order to give you that performance of an employee. So it's not only about the job itself, it's not only about like the technical aspect of the job, but it's also about these other psychological things like commitment and loyalty and how comfortable do you feel and motivation and so on. And now that we understand a little what behavior is all about, we have to now discuss what influences behavior. So as you can see over here, we have external and internal forces that affect and influence the behaviors of employees at work. So when we say external forces, it's not necessarily just when we say external, it's not outside the organization. This is one aspect. We have elements that affect employees' behavior at work which exist outside the organization, but there are also things that influence the behavior of employees which reside within the organization itself. So when we say within the organization, we talk about things like your supervisors, your teammates, your coworkers, and then your the results and the outcomes of your performance. But when we say internal forces, we talk about something within you, within the employee themselves. So things like your internal motivation and your knowledge, skills, abilities, and other things. So the things that lie and reside within you. So starting with external influences, we have to discuss the things that are outside the organization. So like the general state of the economy, الحالة الاقتصادية العامة في البلد. And things like the government intrusion, تدخلات الجهات الحكومية, and global and technology issues. All of these factors, all of these elements definitely influence behaviors, definitely influence how employees behave and carry out themselves at work. And sometimes regardless of what you do, even though you're a good employee, even though you know your job well and you're motivated, but because of things like this, the company will still let you go. ما في أرباح، الوضع الاقتصادي سيء, we just have to cut some people out. So this is what happens. And you, as an organization, as someone who works in human resource development, sometimes you have to make sure that you factor these elements in when it comes to measuring how to set your plans for the future. So you have to make sure that you keep these things in mind, that there are forces outside of the organization which are definitely going to impact your employees' behaviors at work. Now, when we talk about investment, we talk about how companies, how organizations do make a lot of investment in their workforce. They do spend a lot of money, time, and effort in order to develop their human resources, in order to develop their employees. So they consider it an investment. أنا أستثمر فيك الآن فلوس بحيث إني أرسلك إلى كورس تدريبي so that you come back to me and you give me that money back. How do you give me that money back? More productivity, more commitment, more motivation, better quality of work, and so on. So in order for us as an organization who are spending a lot of money to train our employees, we have to ensure that we get our money's worth. We get our money back. So we have to monitor the process. We have to ensure that instead of just letting people go, we try to give you a second and a third chance. So this is why organizations use things like coaching and mentoring, individual development plans, and even multi-rater feedback. They use a lot of strategies. They employ a number of different tools in order for us to ensure that we get our money back. So it's not only that we send you for training, but we want to ensure that that money was well spent. And now here's a list of all the factors and issues which are involved in influencing the behavior of employees. We are not going to discuss each and every one of them because most of them are discussed in detail in a future course, organizational behavior, but we will focus here on the things that are probably a little bit new. So starting with supervision and leadership. There's a famous saying that employees do not leave their jobs, employees leave their bosses. السبب الأول للاستقالة هو دائما العلاقة السيئة مع الرئيس المباشر. So you can imagine how important this person is. You can imagine how influential the relationship between a supervisor and an employee is when it comes to impacting behavior. So what does a supervisor do? What does a manager do? They delegate tasks and responsibilities. They set expectations. They evaluate performance. They are the one who give you they are the one who gives you feedback. So they do a lot of things for you, and you interact with them the most. You come to your job from 7 o'clock and leave at 4, and you probably only deal with this guy. So of course this person has a lot of influence on you. They are the ones who are going to determine whether or not you like your job. They're the ones who are going to determine whether or not you like this organization. So of course, these people, these supervisors, leaders, managers, they have a lot to do when it comes to influencing your behaviors at work. So how exactly do supervisors influence behaviors? In the previous slide, we saw what do they do for you. So based on that, you can imagine how exactly can they influence behavior. There's something called the self-fulfilling prophecy. So the expectations of your supervisor can influence your behavior. Imagine this scenario. You come to a person and you come to your supervisor and the supervisor says, well, والله لو انك انت بس تجي على الوقت هذا يكفيني. Yani they set the expectation so low for you. So you tell yourself, well, if he is only expecting that much of me, why should I bother myself? لكن تخيل العكس، إذا السوبرفايزر يقول لك والله أنا أتوقع لك مستقبل باهر جدا، وأتوقع أن أنت راح تؤدي هذه المهمة الصعبة على أتم وجه، على الرغم من أنه أنت ما زلت عندنا حديث في الشركة. So the expectations of the supervisor is now influencing you to do a better job. So this is what a self-fulfilling prophecy is all about. Expectations of others influence your behavior. Based on their expectations of you, you are going to either improve or decline in terms of performance. And of course, you always hear that argument that managers versus leaders. So here we have to talk a little about leadership. So basically, managers are ones who give you instructions. They give you orders. Do this, do that. Do not do this, do not do that. But a leader is someone who basically inspires you to do things without forcing you. So non-coercive influence. Basically, they do not force you to do it. They inspire you to do it. So they help you, become more motivated. They help you love the job more, and then you do that activity, you do that task, and by doing that, you help him, and you help the department, and you help the organization achieve the set goal or the set objectives. So these are some of the aspects in which supervisors influence the behaviors of employees. Since we're still talking about external influences within the organization, we have to talk a little bit about rewards. بدون المردود سواء المادي أو المعنوي، بدون مكافآت مادية أو معنوية, of course people are not going to do their job. So when we talk about rewards, we have to talk a little about the types of the rewards that are being used, and then how these rewards are distributed, and of course the criteria معايير اللي توزع عليها هذه المكافآت وهذه الجوائز. So you of course when a company says that the employee of the month is going to get a raise, is going to get a bonus, the employee of the month، لازم انت تعرف انه موظف الشهر هذا هو الشخص اللي يكون مثلا اكثر شخص ملتزم بالحضور والغياب، اكثر شخص انتاجيه في العمل، اكثر شخص اخذ comments ممتازه من الكاستمرز. So these kinds of rewards, they help employees do either a better job or a worse job. So not only the type of the reward, because people are not only just motivated by money أو شهادة شكر وتقدير, sometimes it's just recognition. So when the manager or when a big boss in the organization says, well, Khalid did a very beautiful job this month, and he tells the entire company how good you were, this kind of thing gives you like a boost, a morale boost, so that you are now recognized by your colleagues and by other departments in the company how good of a job you have done. So the structure of the rewards are extremely important when it comes to shaping the behaviors of employees at work. And of course, we cannot move on from this topic without talking a little bit about the culture of the organization. So organizational culture is a very important topic. It is discussed in a number of courses that you have probably already studied and you will also study in the future. But let's just touch a little on this subject. So what is the culture of an organization? It's one of those terms that no one can really, give a concrete definition of. We say that it's a set of values and beliefs and norms and patterns that are shared by the members of the organization. So ثقافة الشركة هذه صعب تعريفها الحقيقة، ولكن you have to make sure that you at least have a grasp of what it means. So the things that make companies different. So you go to company A and you basically like how people communicate with one another. You like, how people work and how they coordinate their efforts. And then you go to company B and you're not really enjoying how people deal with one another that much. There is like a focus on certain aspects in company A which do not exist in company B. تحصل ثقافة العمل، ثقافة الشركة ألف تختلف تماما عن ثقافة الشركة باء. هذولا يركزون على التواصل الجيد، يركزون على التنسيق مع بعض، يركزون على الإنتاجية. شركة باء يركزون على الحضور الغياب، يركزون على التراتبية والسلطة ولازم تاخذ موافقة المدير and so on. So these kinds of things will definitely influence your behavior. So such cultures can be either very encouraging for you to improve your performance and do a better job, and other cultures are not really that encouraging, and sometimes they actually contribute to impairing performance. And then there is a major part over here called job design. So we talked about supervisors, we talked about the culture, we talked about the rewards. We have to talk about the job itself. انت يلي تشتغل اخصائي تسويق، اللي تشتغل اخصائي توظيف. What does your job entail? What do you do from 7 o'clock to 4 o'clock? So what are the tasks that you do? What kind of responsibility do you have? All of those things definitely influence your behavior at work. So like how productive you are and how how good of a quality you deliver is definitely going to influence your work life. So you need to understand that when you look for a job, do not only search the job title. Sometimes you can be called a recruitment lead، لكن لما تتوظف وتبدأ في الشركة تكتشف انه وظيفتك مجرد مساعد إداري. في الحقيقة انت بس قاعد تكتب خطابات وتمشي شغل. So you have to make sure that when it comes to selecting a job, you know exactly what it entails. Ask the people in the interview. And as someone who will work in HRD in the future, this is something that you have to keep an eye on. What exactly do our people do? Okay, what responsibility do they have? What kind of tasks do they perform? How much freedom and autonomy do they have on their job? These are the things that you must really keep in mind. We're still talking about influences on employees' behavior within the organization. بما أننا تكلمنا على supervisors لازم نتكلم على زملاء العمل. So coworkers. Of course, coworkers are going to play a major role when it comes to influencing your behavior. طبيعي جدا إذا علاقتك سيئة مع زملائك في العمل، أدائك في العمل حيكون متأثر بذلك. So we have to understand that the co-workers do play a major role in influencing and shaping people's behavior at work. So they control some of the outcomes and therefore some of the behaviors. Of course, أحيانا بعض البونسز وبعض المكافآت يعني مناطة بأداء الفريق. So إذا أداءكم كفريق غير جيد, no one is going to get that bonus, no one is going to get that promotion. So things like this definitely going to influence behavior at work. They may offer or withhold friendship and recognition. So imagine this, imagine that you do a good job, imagine that you help your teammates, you help your colleagues, and then no one says thank you. No, and not only that, but some people might actually steal credit. يقدمون العمل بأسمائهم هم. فلان ما سوى شيء، احنا اللي سوينا كل حاجة. Of course this is going to be devastating. هذا راح يكون يعني جدا سيء وأثره سيء جدا على نفسيتك. And then norms set the guidelines for behavior in the group. So basically these unwritten rules, هذه الشغلات اللي غير ثقافة الحوار وثقافة العمل بينكم وبين بعض. Group dynamics, and of course there's like an entire chapter in your course organizational behavior that talks about group work and group dynamics and teams. But in here we just need to understand that employees are definitely influenced majorly by the relationships that they keep and maintain with their teammates and coworkers. Another major topic in the field of human resources, which is motivation. Motivation is again something that you'll study in detail later on, but we have to know that when we talk about behaviors, we must talk about motivation. مدى التحفيز اللي عندك طبعا راح يأثر على إنتاجيتك في العمل، وطبعا راح يأثر على جودة العمل اللي انت راح تقدمه. So of course without proper motivation no one is going to do a good job. Without proper motivation no one is going to remain working for this organization. So we try here just to understand the basic idea behind motivation. So you have factors that cause arousal, direction, and persistence of voluntary actions that are goal directed. في أشياء تجبر إجبارا إنه أنت تسويها. أمر يجيك من رئيسك المباشر ولازم تنفذه. So whether you are motivated or not. But when we talk about voluntary behaviors, أشياء مبادرات من عندك، أشياء زيادة، والله نبغاكم نحتاجكم أنكم أنتم تشتغلون في الويكند لكن للأسف ما عندنا overtime، أو نحتاج أحد يتطوع أنه هو يسوي المهمة هذه. So for these types of jobs, for these types of tasks, you definitely need to be much more motivated. So you have to find that pleasure, you have to find that thing that helps you, become more excited about it and then perform the task or the job. So basically three factors that we just mentioned in motivation. There is energizing, giving you that energy, giving you that excitement, okay? And then the direction, so how to apply that excitement, how to apply that pleasure that you will get to a certain job, to a certain task, so to a certain activity. And then of course persistence, المثابرة والإصرار والإعادة, so continuing or ceasing to perform a behavior. So you energize, you give someone the energy and the excitement, then you direct, توجه excitement هذا to a certain behavior, to a certain task, and then you persist, you keep on doing the same thing. Okay, so these are the basic components, basic elements of motivation, and of course these things are definitely major players when it comes to influencing and shaping people's behaviors at work. And then here's another approach for you called the cognitive process approach. So we understand now the basic idea of motivation. There are so many theories and so many ideas and thoughts when it comes to how to motivate people at work. Many of them you will discuss in a future course, but here we just need to touch a little bit on a couple of theories. So here we have the expectancy theory and the social learning theory. So expectancy theory. The expectancy theory of motivation says people will never do anything unless they get what they are expecting. So if I am expecting as a teacher that I will get more money if I teach an additional course, جدولي already مضغوط وطالبين مني اني ادرس مادة زيادة، فأنا أتوقع إنه they are going to give me more money. That's one thing. Another thing maybe, so that's like a tangible thing. An intangible thing maybe getting more recognition. إنه والله راح يتم يعني تكريمي وراح يتم الإشادة بي. So I am expecting things out of performing this task. If I don't get what I'm expecting, then of course I'm not going to do it. So apply that situation to an abstract, to any HRD session. Employees will not attend HRD sessions. They are not going to go for training courses if they do not expect to learn something, and if they think that this is not going to improve their job performance and there is going to be no reward. تخيل أحد يجي يقول لك والله بنرسلك training course على كيفية عمل البرزنتيشنز. انت بالنسبة لك انت خبير في البرزنتيشنز، انت تعتقد انه خلاص انا ما حد يعني ما الكورس هذا ما راح يضيف لي شيء، ما راح اتعلم شيء جديد. فبالتالي of course you're not going to be motivated to attend that training course. And when you think that this is not going to improve my performance ما راح يحسن أدائي في العمل، فأنا مجرد إني حضيع وقتي فقط. So of course you're not going to be motivated to attend that training course. ولما يقول لك والله ترى ما فيها انتداب ولا فيها مكافأة ولا فيها أي حاجة، أنت مطلوب منك إنك تحضر الكورس من الساعة 7 الصباح إلى الساعة 10 الصباح وتكمل شغلك باقي اليوم. Then of course there is no reward and you're not going to be motivated to do that job. You're not going to be motivated to attend that training course. So that is what, that is the concept behind the expectancy theory. Are our employees going to learn something? Are they going to improve their performance? And is there a reward for this task? Here's a graphical representation of what we just discussed. You don't need to bother yourself with details. This is just for your information. So we mentioned that we have two theories that we're going to discuss. We just discussed the expectancy theory. Now let's talk a little about the social learning theory. So again, something that you will discuss in detail later on in a future course, but a very important concept over here is something called self-efficacy. Please highlight this word, look it up. Self-efficacy. So what is self-efficacy? Self-efficacy is a personality dimension. Based on that dimension, you have your own judgment about your own self, of how capable you are when it comes to performing things, when it comes to doing things. Okay, so how confident are you in yourself when it comes to doing something? This is self-efficacy. So outcome and self-efficacy expectations definitely affect individual performance. So when it comes to outcomes, so your beliefs that performing a given behavior will lead to a given outcome. So if you think that, well, if I do this job, if I do this task, if I finish this report on time, then I will get a promotion, then I will keep my supervisor happy, then I will get an additional raise in my monthly payment. So this is the outcome approach, the outcome expectation. Okay, so you do one thing and you expect something out of it. If you do not get that outcome, definitely you are not going to be that motivated. So to which extent you are confident that this job, that performing this job or this task or finishing this report is going to result in this outcome. This is the expectation part. The self-efficacy part is about your own convictions and your own judgments about yourself. To which extent you are confident about yourself that I can do this job. إلى أي مدى أنت عندك ثقة في نفسك إنه أنا فعلا أستطيع كتابة هذا التقرير وأستطيع إنهاء هذه المهمة وأستطيع كتابة أو يعني توصيل هذا البرزنتيشن بالشكل المناسب. So outcomes are about what are you going to get, the results, and then self-efficacy is about self-confidence, is about self-judgment. Do I have what it takes? How confident am I about myself that I am capable of doing this job? So again, another graphical representation of what we just discussed. Sometimes, I know some students are more visual and they appreciate putting things in such a way to make the concept a little bit more clear. So, major prediction of social learning theory. So basically, a person's self-efficacy expectations uh, are going to determine whether a behavior will be performed. If I know or if I believe that I do not have what it takes to do this job, then I'm not going to do it. ما أبغى أحرج نفسي، ما أبغى أحط نفسي في موقف سيء أمام زملائي ورؤسائي في العمل. If I know that I do not have what it takes, this job is more difficult than what I can handle, then I'm not going to do it. And then how much effort will be spent? So self-efficacy expectations definitely will influence how much effort you will put forth, how much effort you are going to spend. If I know that I can do it, then I am going to put more effort in. But if I know that this is so out of my league, this is so beyond my skills and abilities, I am not capable of doing this, then simply I'm not going to do it. And not only that, but I'm not going to ما راح أتعب حتى نفسي. I'm not going to do anything extra. And then how long the person will continue to perform the behavior. Persistence. Remember the three aspects of motivation: energy, direction, and persistence. So in here, this is persistence, how long the person will continue to do the same thing. إلى أي مدى أنا راح أكمل؟ هل راح أوقف اليوم؟ هل راح أوقف بكرة؟ هل ما راح أوقف أبدا؟ It's all about my beliefs about myself. Again, here's another representation about how all of these theories come together. Sometimes it helps to see them put in that way. And finally, you cannot discuss anything in the field of human resources and management without having to mention KSAs: knowledge, skills, and abilities. So for any task, for any job, for anything in the organization, you need to have the proper knowledge, the essential skills and abilities to perform that particular task. So what are they? So knowledge is the understanding of the factors, of the principles behind a certain subject. So knowledge, this is what we are getting right now from this course. Then skills. So these are, the things that you develop as a result of training and experience. So like communication skills, presentation skills, computer skills. These are things that you get with practice. These are things that you get with training. Okay? And then abilities. These are general capacities related to the performance of a set of tasks. Sometimes one idea is that when it comes to abilities, these are things that you are born with. We can either, help you improve them, but we cannot, help you develop them. But when it comes to skills, these are things that can definitely be acquired through training, practice, and experience. So when it comes to knowledge, do you know about marketing? Do you know about consumers? Do you know about marketing strategies? When it comes to skills, do you have negotiation skills? Do you have persuasion skills? عندك مهارات الإقناع، مهارات المفاوضة. But when it comes to abilities, هل عندك القدرة على التحليل الرياضي مثلا؟ رياضيات، الحسابات الرياضية. هل عندك القدرة على تحليل الأمور بشكل أوسع؟ problem solving, analytical skills, analytical abilities. Okay, so knowledge, skills, and abilities, all of those are definitely major contributors to whether or not employees will be successful in performing their jobs and therefore the behaviors that are associated with those. So thank you so much for listening. This concludes our second chapter, and I'll see you inshallah next week.